evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Sean Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. We'll be talking about the black money bill that is supposed to be tabled in Parliament next week. What does that bill entail? We have a special guest coming in for that, so do stay tuned. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. Nepal death toll near 6,300, with villages near the epicenter still out of reach of rescue teams. Nepal Army Chief says the death toll may touch 15,000. UN agencies begin sending in aid. Nepalese President Ram Baran Yadav expresses gratitude to global community for coming to Nepal's aid, assures strong rehabilitation and relief measures to get the devastated country back on its feet. Black money bill to unearth funds stashed overseas to be introduced in the Lok Sabha next week, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. India voices strong objection to US Commission report that says India has failed to protect religious freedoms, says it takes no cognizance of a report based on a limited understanding of India. And on International Labour Day, unions and workers' rights organizations around the world stage marches and rallies demanding better work conditions. Our top story this evening, nearly 6,300 people are now declared dead in Nepal, with authorities indicating that the figure is still far short of the real death toll. The Nepal Army Chief himself said close to 15,000 may be dead. Rescue teams from around the world scrambled to locate survivors in the debris and reach succor to the needy. Areas near the epicenter remain virtually cut off. Here's more.
Village Gorkha among those near the epicenter of the April 25th earthquake, making it among the worst hit. It's also among those still almost cut off from rescue workers coming in. Roads to Gorkha are almost completely destroyed. The odd air sortie brings in some supplies, far from enough. A lot revolves now around aid coming in from around the world. Coordinating distribution and transportation to interior areas will also be critical. In the past 2 days, the World Food Programme and its affiliate corporations donated over 100 tons of food to the worst hit districts, while the UN Children's Fund delivered nearly 30 tons of supplies, including tents, water purification tablets, and first aid and hygiene kits. Pulling devastated areas and relief camps out of insanitation and lurking disease will also be an uphill task.
रोगहरुको सम्भावना चाहिँ अब किन नहुनु अब यहाँ फोहोर त्यस्तै छ वातावरण इन्भाइरोमेन्ट पोल्युसन छ अहिले अब तपाईको पानी शुद्ध पानी खान पाइरहेको अवस्था छैन औषधिहरु भएर पनि कस्तो औषधि खानी के औषधि खानी भन्ने कुरा एउटा ज्ञान छैन नलेज छैन त्यसकारणले पनि
India's Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval reached quake-hit Kathmandu on Friday to assess relief operations and the situation in the capital. They carried out aerial surveys of zones still struggling to limp out of the devastation. India has the largest rescue team in Nepal, followed by China, to help in rescue and relief operations.
जहाँ पर ये अर्थक्वेक डेवास्टेड एरियाज थे हमने और फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी और एम्बेसडर साहब हम सब लोगों ने उसका दौरा किया और काफी क्षति हुई है लेकिन बहुत अच्छा काम भी हो रहा है बहुत अधिक काम नेपालीज आर्मी और इंडियन आर्मी मिलकर बहुत वहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं.
In Kathmandu, even alongside people eager to get out of the city, some areas are looking at moving towards normalcy. Not easy, with access to basic facilities and rations, a tough ask. Some areas though, like the Nepal University, have slowly started the process of drawing up repair plans.
We are forming a team also here in the university itself to work for the rehabilitation part of our university. So we are working on that, and our students are very much understanding in this case.
At the many mountain base camps and in the cities and villages, it's a long road to revival, with some estimates putting the cost figure at $2 billion and a time of several years. Even a start in that direction looks an arduous one for now. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Now, Nepal is in dire need of tents and medical supplies, especially antibiotics. The relief work in Nepal in the wake of the high-intensity earthquake may be adversely affected in view of the monsoon now that could hit within 3 weeks.
Nepal is racing against time to provide much-needed shelter to the needy in rural areas. It has only 30 days to arrange tents before the rains arrive and make the hilly terrain totally inhospitable. The United Nations issued a flash appeal keeping in mind the approaching monsoons. According to its estimates, over 8 million people are affected. Nearly 5 lakh people need shelter urgently. About 6 lakh houses have been damaged and 2 lakh people are displaced.
जिस जगह पे रह रहा हूं अभी हमारे घर के सामने करीब 400 लोग जमा हुए थे टेंट में हम सब लोग ने हाथ बटाया अपने अपने तरफ से जो सहयोग कर सकते कर लिए
With 900 people working on the ground, India has the largest contingent of relief workers, followed by China. Indian relief workers have been more successful, mainly due to their familiarity with both the terrain and the local language.
This mask is cheap and easily available and is the precaution relating to challenges which Nepal faces on the health front. So if you're traveling to Nepal, do get one of these and ensure that you use it while you are here. Amritanshu Rai, Pashupatinath Temple, Kathmandu.
And our correspondent Amritanshu Rai spoke exclusively to Nepal's President Ram Baran Yadav on the ongoing humanitarian crisis and how Nepal is tackling the growing demand for relief and rehabilitation. Yadav said it's still difficult to reach some parts of the country to provide relief.
I'm here in the President House in Kathmandu and I have with me His Excellency, the President of Nepal, Dr. Ram Baran Yadav. Sir, the first question is the way the earthquake happened and the needs. That was something that the international community could not identify as to what Nepal really needed.
गवर्नमेंट एसेस करते जा रहा है और गवर्नमेंट का जो नीड होगा उसके अनुसार अपने मित्र राष्ट्र लोगों से जैसे भारत हो चीन हो और संसार के हमारे मित्र राष्ट्र हैं उन लोगों से अपना लेते जाएंगे लेकिन एक्चुअली जो है जो रेस्क्यू रिलीफ उसके बाद का फेज में आपको रिहैबिलिटेशन रिकंस्ट्रक्शन तो बेसिक तो यही है
काठमांडू से बाहर जो दूर दराज के इलाके हैं जहां पर एपी सेंटर है जहां पे क्षति ज्यादा हुई है वैसे जगहों पर रिलीफ बहुत धीरे धीरे पहुंच पा रहा है
तो आप जानते हैं कि ये एपी सेंटर हिमाल में हुआ है हिमालय एरिया में हुआ है डिफिकल्ट बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट एरिया है वो तो काठमांडू तो इजी जगह है लेकिन इतना डिवास्टेशन हुआ इसलिए डिफिकल्टीज है जो आप कह रहे हैं जो कि नेपाली जनता सब क्या कहते हैं यूनाइटेड है संपूर्ण नेपाल हम नेपाली यूनाइटेड है और इसको फेस कर रहे हैं राहत नहीं पहुंच रहा है रेस्क्यू हो रहा है इसलिए ये दिक्कत है हमारे सामने
In 3 weeks time monsoon is going to strike Nepal. In that scenario relief and rehabilitation work is going to become more difficult.
Whatever may be the season we'll have to work because this is the calamities and the national natural calamities and it is our national duty how to overcome. So I can assure you that the strength of our Nepali people and with the coordination of the international community, we must have to reach that place and we must reach there. That is our duty and we can, as a president, I can tell that I will have to reach and I will reach there.
Thank you very much for talking to Raj Sabha TV, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, time for a quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, Yoga Guru Ramdev has rejected charges that the medicine sold by his pharmacy guarantees a meal child amid demands to ban it.
A sensitive issue, an explosive debate. NDA minister says marital rape can't be a crime. Are there different kinds of rapes? Shouldn't marital rape be a punishable offence? Watch the big picture. at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today said the government will push for a new law in the Lok Sabha next week to unearth funds stashed abroad. In a stern warning to offenders, he said it would not be possible for anyone to hide unaccounted wealth, as the international community is planning to put in place a mechanism for automatic exchange of information by 2017. The government has introduced the Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets Bill, which provides for heavy penalty and stiff punishment of up to 10 years for stashing unaccounted funds abroad. There will also be a window to help persons having such funds abroad to come clean by paying tax and penalty. He said that the government has initiated prosecution against 121 offenders.
And a large number of countries are taking active interest. India is foremost amongst them. And by 2017, the target is that all transactions would become transparent. Each country would go out of the way to cooperate with others.
And Himanshu Watt, senior editor of the Economic Times, now joins us to help us understand. Himanshu, what can we look for in this the bill to bring black money back from abroad, to get it taxed more? Or what are the major issues that the bill could address?
See, this campaign against black money was a major part of Narendra Modi's, BJP's campaign in the election. So the party is under a lot of pressure to deliver on that. And there have already been some comments from opposition parties that where is the black money? You talked about so much money coming. That's one side. The other is the business community is getting increasingly edgy and nervous about it. They have a couple of concerns. One is they describe the provisions to be what they say draconian. You can have imprisonment up till 10 years. They also fear the return of an Inspector Raj coming back, where you'll have all kinds of notices, appeals, commissioners, all those things happening. But the broad point is, India does need a regime where the tax authorities crack down on people at all levels. It's so far the general image of this country's taxation system has been that it's been a bit lax, and that's the reason why you've had a few voluntary disclosure schemes in the past. They've not had much response. So this is a very important thing for taxation, tax revenue, and there are many estimates, but which would say that if people start paying taxes honestly, with the fear of such things, India's fiscal situation can change significantly.
Absolutely. That was one of the promises that the Prime Minister, of course, made during that entire campaign, of how much the black money stashed abroad could really turn around India's economy. But in terms of just getting support, getting this bill through, we've seen Parliament at loggerheads on various issues. So as far as this bill is concerned, we can expect a lot of politicking about it as well.
See, there's bound to be discussion, but I don't think any political party can have this image or a tag that they are not letting a legislation pass which cracks down on tax offenders. So it's very likely that this bill will pass relatively smoothly, unless there are disruptions in the House for other reasons. But it's very difficult for a political party to oppose it. Just as, in the previous government, nobody could really oppose the land law because it was projected as pro-people, pro-villagers. So these kind of legislations would get through. And that's a concern also of industry, that if something very draconian gets through, then it will be very difficult to amend also.
All right, and that's I think the crux of the matter, that the industry certainly is not happy. But if we just talk about, there are so many figures that go on about black money, how much money is there abroad. In real terms, do you think, while it might be said that if all that money comes back, India could really turn around, but is there that much? And would such schemes like a voluntary disclosure scheme under this new law would it be helpful?
I think the voluntary disclosure scheme is going to be pretty important. As far as money coming back is concerned, what this law does is it takes care of a particular lacuna. With many countries, India has a tax treaty or some investment treaty where you cannot get information, or if you get information, you cannot disclose it unless there is a clear criminality involved.
All right.
So this law will take care of that. The Indian authorities, the government will be able to tell the other country that, look, so-and-so has committed a crime under this act and we need information on which we can act. So that's one side. The other side is, the other part of your question, that once the tax evader, the business community, all the people who are, not paying their tax, taking money abroad, once they know the government is serious and you are big trouble in store, I think there's a good chance that you will have a fair amount of voluntary disclosure which the scheme allows. Because the government has said very clearly we are giving a chance to the taxpayer to own up before the very strict law comes. So I have a lot of expectations on that, the disclosure and future compliance, rather than, money put abroad coming back, because whoever has money abroad or had money abroad has known for a few years that, government is planning something. So I don't think they would have just left it for some authorities to come pick it up and prosecute them.
All right. So we'll leave that discussion over here right now. Himanshu, thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand the importance of this particular bill and also what the industry is saying. Industry is not too happy, but let's see what the final bill is and what the discussion in Parliament is. Thanks very much, Himanshu, for that. Well, moving on now, the centre stepped up its efforts to communicate its concerns over crop damage due to unseasonal rains and allayed fears over the proposed land bill. Home Minister Rajnath Singh toured Uttar Pradesh today addressing farmers. This comes at a time when some of BJP's allies have questioned the proposed Land Acquisition Act.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh has decided to take the lead in communicating the centre's concerns over crop damage due to unseasonal rains. He's on a tour to Uttar Pradesh on Friday, meeting affected farmers and providing relief. He assured them that the centre will provide financial assistance to those affected. He also urged the states to chip in with some help.
पहला काम तो चटपट जो भारत सरकार कर सकती है वो कर देना चाहिए। यह आदेश निर्गत कर दिया जाना चाहिए कि चाहे गेहूं का रंग जो भी हो, सबकी खरीद की जाएगी और उसी कीमत पर खरीद की जाएगी, कोई उसमें अंतर नहीं किया जाएगा। और शायद अखबारों के माध्यम से आपको जानकारी हो गई होगी कि भारत सरकार ने यह फैसला कर लिया है और सभी राज्य सरकारों को यह निर्देश जारी कर दिया। राज्य सरकारों को आदेश आ गया हम लोगों को, जो राज्य सरकारों का नुकसान होगा उसकी भरपाई केंद्र करेगा, यह भी कह दिया।
Rajnath Singh's tour comes at a time when ruling BJP is questioned over the proposed land acquisition bill. The Home Minister also allayed fears that the proposed legislation is anti-farmer. He claimed that the centre has already taken steps to help the farmers in crisis.
हमारी सरकार इस हिंदुस्तान के किसानों के साथ खड़ी रहेगी, ये आपको भरोसा और विश्वास दिलाते हुए।
Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had urged BJP MPs to counter the opposition's charges on the land bill before the second half of the budget session resumed. But it seems some of its own allies are still not convinced. Akali Dal hopes BJP will call an NDA meeting soon to clear the air.
ये सरकार एनडीए की सरकार है, ये केवल बीजेपी की सरकार नहीं है। इसलिए अगर एनडीए को कॉन्फिडेंस में नहीं रखेंगे तो कम्युनिकेशन गैप बनेगा।
The government has so far issued 2 ordinances on the land bill. The second ordinance, reissued with amendments after Rajya Sabha was prorogued, has not been passed by either of the houses. With barely a week left for the current session to end, time is running out for the government to pass the bill at least in Lok Sabha. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India today reacted coldly to the report of the US Commission on Religious Freedom that criticizes the government, saying it was based on a limited understanding of India, its constitution and its society. The US Commission for International Religious Freedom, which is a congressional body, in its annual report for 2015, placed India amid more than 30 countries that meet a systematic, ongoing and egregious standard for failing to provide religious freedoms.
The annual report released on Thursday by the US Commission on International Religious Freedoms lists India among 30 nations failing to protect religious freedoms. It's particularly critical of the Indian government. It raises concern over Hindu nationalist groups for programs of forced conversion, Ghar Wapsi, attacks on churches and hate campaigns against Muslim minorities. It retains India's status as a Tier 2 country of concern on religious freedom. On its part, India has summarily rejected the report, a reaction stronger than last time when it had ignored the document as internal documentation. A statement from the Ministry of External Affairs said, and I quote, "India takes no cognizance of a US report passing judgment on religious freedom. The report appears to be based on limited understanding of India, its constitution and society." Members of the ruling party have voiced anger at the report, calling it interference in India's internal affairs, saying it made no difference to anyone.
भारतीय संस्कृति, समाज, संस्कार और संविधान से जो लोग अनभिज्ञ हैं, अनजान हैं, वो भारत के सांप्रदायिक सौहार्द और धार्मिक आजादी का सर्टिफिकेट दें तो वो ठीक नहीं है.
Opposition parties have also echoed sentiments on non-cognizance of such a report. Security experts say the US cannot comment on India as it itself struggles with racial unrest. Others point out that there is a need to introspect.
India also has to introspect because over the last few years, not in recent months, there has been a perception that the minorities are not getting the kind of justice that the Indian Constitution mandates. Now, whether we talk about quote-unquote the average Muslim perception in India, or for that matter the recent attack on some of the churches and the way in which the Christians have also felt, these cannot be brushed away.
The Congressional Commission that gave the report is an independent bipartisan body that has no legislative or executive powers itself. But there is no doubting the feathers it has ruffled. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, a day after uproar in the Rajya Sabha over an Ayurvedic medicine claiming birth of a male child, Yoga Guru Ramdev dismissed the allegations. The pharmacy found selling the medicines were linked to Ramdev. However, he claimed the medicine is not aimed at helping women to produce a male child.
On Thursday, JDU MP KC Tyagi raised the issue in Rajya Sabha, showing packets of this Ayurvedic medicine named Putra Jivak Bij, sold by Yoga Guru Ramdev's pharmacy. On Friday, Ramdev claimed the name of the medicine is spreading a misconception and that it does not aim to help a woman bear a male child. He rejected the allegations leveled against him and the pharmacy that the medicine is illegal and unconstitutional.
अश्वगंधा खाकर के घोड़े की जैसी ताकत आता है, आदमी मां जाती है. अब अश्वगंधा का मतलब थोड़ी बाबा घोड़ा घोट रहा है दवाई के अंदर. सर्पगंधा का मतलब थोड़ी बाबा सांप पीस के लोगों को खिला रहा है. गोक्षुर का मतलब थोड़ी कि गाय की खुर का पाउडर बना करके लोगों को हम खिला रहे हैं. दारूबंदी का मतलब थोड़ी को हम दारू पिला रहे हैं, उसका नाम वो है. इस तरह की भ्रांतियां उनसे बहुत पीड़ा होती है कि लोग संसद में जाएं तो थोड़ा होमवर्क करके जाएं.
But voices opposing the sale of these medicines are growing louder. The Haryana government, which recently offered him to be the brand ambassador of the state, criticized Ramdev.
रामदेव जी की जो दवाई है, जो औषधि है, उसका नाम ही पुत्र बीजक बीज है. मुझे उस पर आपत्ति है. इसका नाम संतान बीजक बीज रखें तो मुझे कोई ऐतराज नहीं होगा.
हमने उनको कहा कि इसका नाम कुछ बदल कर रख सकते हैं क्या? उनका कहना ये प्राचीन नाम है और मेरा दिया हुआ नाम नहीं है, इसलिए मेरा अधिकार नहीं है इसको नाम को बदलने का. तो ये उनकी ओर से विषय है.
Ayurveda should not be made controversial. With regard to a name of a particular Ayurvedic medicine, what is the status, whether it's been there for thousands of years or hundreds of years, or if it's a new name, that could be a matter of discussion between those whoever have a stake in such a subject. But on the larger issue, Ayurveda should not be made controversial or politicized in any way.
Amid the growing controversy, Consumer Affairs Minister Ram Vilas Paswan said that the Home Ministry has asked to look into the matter.
और मिनिस्टर ने कहा कि इसको देखेंगे, हेल्थ मिनिस्टर ने कहा जांच करेंगे कि जो उन्होंने कहा है तो उनका कहने का मतलब क्या है. दवाई सिर्फ एक बच्चा लड़का पैदा करने के लिए है या दवाई का कंटेंट्स खराब है, क्या है, वो गलत मुद्दा है.
The government had agreed to look into the matter in Rajya Sabha on Thursday. The opposition had demanded to ban the medicine and sought stringent action against the manufacturers. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time now for all the other national news and updates in Nationwide. The National Green Tribunal today extended its order to ban 10-year-old diesel vehicles in Delhi till the 18th of May. The panel has asked state and centre to submit suggestions on providing incentives to those transferring or scrapping old diesel vehicles. It is also given 2 weeks' time to decide on fixing a cap on the number of vehicles to be registered in the national capital. 11 people were killed in a road mishap in West Bengal today. The incident took place in Alipurduar district where a vehicle carrying 18 people collided with the truck. 3 others were seriously injured in the accident and are said to be in a critical condition. National roaming rates, which were slashed a few days ago, have come into effect from today. All the major telecom service providers have reduced tariffs on calls and SMSs days after the TRAI reduced the ceiling tariffs. The roaming call rates will now be cheaper by 40% and SMS by up to 75%. Now, workers around the globe took to the streets today to mark Labour Day. Thousands marched in rallies in Indonesia and the Philippines, where workers live on less than $2 a day, to demand a higher minimum wage and job protection. In South Korea, thousands of workers held rallies vowing to wage an all-out general strike if the government pushes through with planned labour reforms. In Taiwan, protesters threw smoke bombs near the presidential office during a workers' rally, while in Hong Kong, domestic helpers were out in force to seek greater rights. Now, amid growing protests across the United States cities over the Baltimore killing, cops have now claimed fresh leads in the death of the black man that triggered the riot. Probe hints that the victim was denied medical attention despite being injured. The new leads have once again brought questions over police high-handedness and the issue of social inequalities in the United States to the fore.
Several fresh leads have surfaced in the death of Freddie Gray that has triggered protest in the US. According to police sources, the victim died when his head struck a bolt in the police van while transporting him to the police station. The reports claim the injury on his head matches the shape of the bolt in the van. The reports also say that scrutiny of CCTV footages show the police van made undisclosed stop, leading to suspicion.
We discovered this new stop based on our thorough and comprehensive and ongoing review of all CCTV cameras and privately owned cameras. And in fact, this new stop was discovered from a privately owned camera. So the new stop by our wagon was at Fremont and Mosier. Again, that's new to us.
Baltimore police have admitted that Gray was not secured with a seatbelt. He was also denied medical treatment while being transported, which is against department policy. All this could land the 6 suspended police officers in trouble if they are asked to stand before a grand jury. But a preliminary probe has found no evidence that Gray was fatally injured during his videotaped arrest in Baltimore. The medical examiner found Gray's catastrophic injury was caused when he was slammed into the back of the police van and apparently broke his neck.
The discussion has shifted to the bigger picture of how do we solve all the problems and how do we get this investigation. Those answers will come. There's plenty of time for that. I'm not involved in the investigation by the state's attorney. Hopefully we can get answers. Everybody deserves the answers. We need to get to the bottom of it. My focus is on protecting the citizens of Baltimore.
That lack of discipline, lack of aggressive investigation of police shootings, and the lack of accountability for police officers when they do violate the law and the rights of citizens. It creates a culture of impunity where officers believe that if they do these kinds of things, they're going to get away with it, and it's not going to come back to haunt them.
The death had sparked protests across several US cities. Police was forced to impose a curfew for the third day after protesters refused to back down. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
That's all from us. Goodbye.